Alex, for definitely putting this press conference together. I truly do attach myself to the comments of all the colleagues here today at the press conference. As a Marine Corps veteran, I remember working on Quantico in the Training and Education Command for the years that I did, and responsible for looking at all the fuel efficiencies. I remember digging down as a comptroller. I had to really dig down into the numbers and look for the cost savings for the military as far as where we could bring money, looking at those type of things. And I truly want to stop first and acknowledge Happy World Water Day. You know, a lot of people didn't know, you know, as I like to share interesting facts when I talk to the community, is we observe this day on March 22nd every year. And I think it's really to educate about the importance of water to the whole world, and then to continue to raise awareness about the different water crises. Here in Dumfries, we have, we're close to 3 coal ash ponds that those coal ash ponds have leaked into our water and caused a little crisis in this area. The power company was directed to get everybody in this community who wanted to on public water and offer that well water, because the well water was contaminated as a result. And so World Water Day is still important and is still relevant. You know, it definitely highlights the necessity for improvement to access to water. I think hygiene, facilities, and sanitation in all countries. I was just reading the other day that the United Nations University estimated that about 19 countries in Africa with a total population of about 500 million people face water insecurities. And at the top of those lists, I think there were 3 countries that we all know as no strangers to conflict: Chad, Niger, and Somalia. And then most nations on the continent face even higher levels of risk to extreme weather events, that as climate change makes them more frequent and more severe, outpacing the country's ability to adapt. And if you remember a couple of weeks ago during the State of the Union address, President Biden actually reaffirmed his commitment to taking on climate action. And I think, you know, as a mayor, one of my top priorities is not only the environment, but making sure that we develop and create good paying jobs that then find a way to cut pollution. Yes, Earth Day is coming up the first week of April. Lower energy costs to be able to advance economic opportunity for everybody, and to secure, you know, energy for our future. And I know that a lot of people say that coal ash, we can get away with that. A lot of our power companies are starting to look towards a lot of wind and solar type options. And you know, a lot of people say, how does this tie into what's happening right now in our current? And I want to just say here publicly, as mayor, I stand united with the people of Ukraine, who they're standing up for their democracy right now. And I think that's important. You know, as an elected official and as a Marine Corps veteran, you know, I have a responsibility to keep the community safe and free of oppression. So I want to speak to the bravery of all those public servants, all those civilians who are fighting, all of the electeds over there in Ukraine. I think we should just take a minute to just, you know, applaud them for their bravery to want to protect their democracy right now. You know, and when you look at what's happening as far as the conflict that's happening in Ukraine right now, you look at, and I want to tie it into how it's impacting this nation right now. We see that we're at a 40-year high inflation rate. The cost of goods, and this is compounded, we know, because of COVID, a lot of people not going to work, but we're at like a 40-year high inflation. We're at 7-8%, some places as high as 10% inflation rate. I want to, just with like the rest of my colleagues here today, I want to offer my support for President Joe Biden to invoke the Defense Production Act so that we can start to increase a clean energy transition. And I think somebody might ask the question, well, how is that act going to help? Like, what is DPA going to do? And a lot of people may or may not know, but it authorizes the president to require companies to start to prioritize government contracts and orders seen as necessary for national defense, with the goal of ensuring that the private sector is producing enough goods needed to meet war effort or other national emergency. It also authorizes the president to use loans, direct purchases, and other incentives to boost the production of critical goods and essential materials. And I think as a nation, if we start to look at that, we can start to begin to rely less on the fossil fuels that we've heard many of my colleagues here say is holding Ukraine hostage. You know, we start to rely less on them from abroad and then open up ways in which we can use all the energy options that we have right here to reduce the burden that I think right now the average citizen is facing because of this inflation. So I support the United States also in taking an active role right now in helping to end this current crisis. And I condemn the unwarranted aggression of the Russian government. I also encourage all local leaders and anybody who calls themselves a leader to start to support humanitarian efforts of everything that's happened over Ukraine. We've started a collection point here in Dumfries and our Northern Virginia Regional Commission, where we're going to start collecting goods and things that are needed to help relieve the humanitarian issues on the front lines of this conflict.